The chamber of the Galactic Council was larger than most cities. Rings of floating platforms circled a bright white core of light. Hundreds of alien leaders watched in silence as a single human stood alone in the center. Ambassador Elias Rowan did not look afraid. But he knew what was coming. Above him, a giant hologram flickered to life. One word formed slowly in burning blue letters. Exile. A low murmur spread across the chamber. Some species avoided eye contact. Others watched with cold satisfaction. For years, they had whispered the same things about humanity. Too emotional. Too aggressive. Too unpredictable. Humans had grown fast. Too fast. Their fleets expanded. Their technology advanced. Their colonies thrived in places other species had failed. Many admired them. Many feared them more. The Speaker of the Council, a tall silver-skinned being, stepped forward. Humanity has destabilized regional balance, the Speaker said calmly. Their actions, while effective, create fear among member worlds. The Council has voted. Earth will no longer receive alliance protection, shared trade networks, or military cooperation. No one objected. Not a single vote stood in defense of Earth. Ambassador Rowan lifted his head. So you isolate us, he said quietly. We preserve galactic peace, the Speaker replied. Rowan gave a small, slow nod. Peace built on fear never lasts. The hologram shifted again. Borders around human-controlled space dimmed. Trade routes disconnected. Defense pacts vanished from the central system. In that moment, humanity stood alone. Far beyond the Council's bright chamber, another group watched the broadcast with interest. The Virex Dominion. An empire built on conquest. Ruthless. Patient. Powerful. For decades, they had studied Earth. Its resources. Its position near critical warp corridors. Its strange ability to adapt to harsh worlds. But they had not attacked. Because humanity had allies. Now those allies were gone. In the Dominion flagship, High Commander Varkesh smiled as the Council's decision finalized. They removed their shield for us, he said. Across Dominion space, fleets began to move. Back on Earth, the message reached Global Command within minutes. Emergency lights flashed inside the United Earth Defense Network. Screens filled with Council data. Diplomatic channels fell silent one by one. General Arya Tan stood before the Global Defense Council. She did not shout. She did not panic. Confirm, she asked. They cut all treaties, an officer replied. We are fully isolated. Silence filled the room. Then another officer spoke. Long-range scanners detect Virex fleet mobilization. The room grew colder. So this was the real reason. The galaxy had not just abandoned them. It had exposed them. General Tan folded her hands behind her back. Estimated time. 2 weeks before they reach outer colonies. Maybe less. Some leaders expected fear. Some expected anger. Instead, Tan gave one simple order. Activate phase iron. Around the planet, hidden facilities unlocked sealed vaults. Deep under oceans, massive reactors began to hum. Shipyards shifted from civilian production to full military output. Human factories did not slow. They accelerated. Across cities, public broadcasts remained calm. There was no chaos in the streets. No screaming headlines. Just a steady message from global leadership. Remain calm. Preparations are underway. In orbit, old warships returned from patrol. Experimental vessels powered up for the first time. Secret defense platforms rotated into position. Humanity had hoped for peace. But it had never fully trusted it. Days later, at the edge of human space, Dominion scouts crossed the border. They expected weakness. They expected panic. Instead, they found nothing. Empty space. No fleet waiting. No defense line visible. Only silence. Commander Varkesh studied the scans. They hide, he said with confidence. He did not know that every move was being tracked. Back on Earth, General Tan watched the same feed. Her expression never changed. Let them come deeper, she said softly. Behind her, a massive screen displayed something the galaxy had never seen before. A classified project. A weapon. A contingency built for the day the galaxy would turn away. And as the first Dominion fleet advanced, one quiet human transmission was sent across all secure channels. We stand alone. Then the second line followed. And we are ready. The first Dominion fleet moved through human space with perfect formation. Their ships were black and sharp, like blades cutting through the dark. Commander Varkesh stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the stars stretch ahead. No resistance, one officer reported. Varkesh smiled. They are afraid. But he did not understand humans. Humanity did not answer with words. They answered with silence. The Dominion ships crossed the outer mining colonies first. Small stations floated near cold asteroids. Workers had already evacuated. Lights were off. Systems were empty. It appears they are retreating toward Earth, another officer said. Of course they are, Varkesh replied. Cornered prey always runs home. He ordered the fleet to advance deeper. Far away, inside a hidden command station carved into the moon's dark side, General Arya Ten watched every movement. Large holographic maps filled the room. Red markers showed Dominion ships entering carefully calculated zones. She did not look worried. Phase 1 confirmed, a technician said. Wait for my signal, Tan answered. In open space near the asteroid belt, the Dominion fleet suddenly slowed. Scanner interference detected, an officer announced. Varkesh frowned. Source. Unknown. It is, irregular. The stars around them seemed to flicker. Signals bent. Navigation systems glitched for a moment, then corrected. It is nothing, Varkesh said. Continue forward. The moment they entered the central belt, the trap activated. Asteroids moved. Not naturally. Hidden thrusters ignited across hundreds of rocks. Massive stones shifted position at high speed, forming sudden barriers. From their surfaces, concealed cannons emerged. The first human strike was not loud. It was precise. High-velocity rounds pierced the nearest Dominion destroyer before shields could fully respond. The ship split apart in a silent flash. Ambush, an officer shouted. More asteroids opened fire. Mines hidden among debris detonated. Explosions rippled across Dominion formation lines. Varkesh gripped his command rail. Return fire. Clear the field. Dominion ships unleashed plasma storms, turning dozens of asteroids to dust. But every destroyed rock revealed another weapon platform beneath it. This was not random defense. It was preparation years in the making. Human ships then appeared from unexpected angles. Smaller than Dominion vessels. Faster. They moved in unpredictable paths, weaving between debris like hunters who knew the terrain. They did not hold position. They struck and vanished. Each time Dominion targeting systems locked on, the human ships were already gone. They do not fight with honor, one Dominion officer growled. They fight to win, Varkesh answered coldly. But even he felt it now. This was not fear. This was strategy. Back on the moon base, General Tan gave new commands. Open Corridor 7. At once, a narrow path cleared through the asteroid chaos. Dominion scanners detected it. They are leaving an escape route, an officer said. Varkesh hesitated only a moment. Advance through it. Regroup inside. The Dominion fleet rushed forward. The corridor closed behind them. Walls of rock shifted again, trapping a third of their ships inside a tight field. Gravity spikes detected, another officer shouted. Hidden generators activated. Local gravity intensified without warning. Dominion ships struggled to maneuver as invisible pressure pulled at their hulls. Human long-range artillery fired from beyond visual range. Trapped ships were destroyed one by one. Varkesh watched in disbelief as battle reports filled his display. Losses climbed rapidly. This was planned, he whispered. On Earth, global citizens watched limited broadcasts. They saw flashes of victory. They heard calm updates. The message remained steady. We are holding. But this was only the outer defense. More Dominion fleets were on their way. Inside the asteroid belt, damaged human ships withdrew in organized retreat. They had achieved their goal. Delay. Disrupt. Test. As the surviving Dominion forces finally broke free of the gravity trap, Varkesh's confidence had changed into something else. Respect. And anger. They are not prey, he said quietly. They are waiting for us. Behind the belt, deeper within the solar system, silent structures powered up. The real defense had not yet begun. And both sides now understood one truth. This would not be a quick war. The Dominion did not retreat. They regrouped. 3 more fleets entered human space within days. Their numbers blocked out distant stars. Commander Varkesh no longer smiled when he looked at tactical maps. He studied them with careful silence. Humans rely on traps and terrain, one officer said. We avoid their asteroid fields. We strike directly at Earth. Varkesh nodded. No more slow advance. We remove the head. The massive Dominion armada pushed forward in a single wave. They destroyed outer defense platforms. They burned abandoned colonies. This time, they did not rush blindly. They advanced with discipline. On Earth, General Arya 10 watched reports without emotion. Losses were expected. Every destroyed outpost had served its purpose. It bought time. Dominion fleet approaching lunar range, a technician announced. How long until full orbit? 10 asked. 8 hours. The room fell quiet. Tan turned toward a sealed door behind her. 2 security officers unlocked it. Beyond the door was not another command room. It was a vertical shaft descending deep below the surface. Far below Earth's oceans, hidden under kilometers of water and reinforced alloy, something enormous began to wake. For decades, Project Leviathan had existed only as a rumor among top human leaders. It was never shared with allies. Never placed in any galactic registry. Because humans had learned something important. Trust was temporary. Survival was not. As Dominion ships reached the edge of Earth's defensive perimeter, they met heavy resistance. Orbital platforms fired in coordinated patterns. Human fleets formed defensive walls, sacrificing smaller ships to slow the advance. Dominion firepower was overwhelming. One by one, human ships exploded in brilliant flashes. Smoke and debris filled near-orbit space. On the surface, cities dimmed power grids. Civilian populations moved into underground shelters. There was fear now. But there was no collapse. In the Dominion flagship, Varkesh finally saw Earth with his own eyes on the main display. Blue oceans. White clouds. A fragile world. Prepare planetary strike cannons, he ordered. Energy began building across multiple Dominion dreadnoughts. A full orbital bombardment would crack continental plates. No species had survived it before. Energy charge at 70%, an officer reported. Then something strange happened. Ocean currents shifted. Dominion scanners flickered. Unidentified energy reading from planetary surface, another officer said. Location? Varkesh demanded. Global. It is, spreading. From deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, a ring of light formed under the waves. It expanded silently, too large to measure with simple sensors. On Earth, General Tan gave one final command. Release Leviathan. The ocean erupted upward in a massive column of water and steam. From its center rose a structure the size of a small moon fragment. Not a ship. Not a station. A planetary defense engine. Its surface was layered with rotating rings and massive emitters. It did not aim at a single ship. It aimed at space itself. Dominion commanders hesitated. What is that? Before anyone could answer, the Leviathan fired. There was no beam. No explosion. Instead, space between Earth and the Dominion fleet distorted like heated air. Gravitational forces twisted violently. Dominion ships were caught inside invisible waves. Hull plates bent. Shield matrices shattered. Entire cruisers collapsed inward as if crushed by giant hands. It is manipulating gravity, an officer screamed. Varkesh gripped the command console. All ships retreat beyond effective range. But retreat was slow under distorted gravity fields. Human orbital fleets charged forward at the same time. Using the chaos, they targeted disabled Dominion vessels with precision strikes. Within minutes, dozens of Dominion warships were reduced to debris. The planetary strike cannons never fired. Leviathan rotated slowly, stabilizing the space around Earth like a guardian. Across the galaxy, long-range observers detected the energy surge. The council chamber that once exiled humanity fell silent as sensor data streamed in. They built that alone, one leader whispered. Back in orbit, Varkesh stared at the battlefield. His fleet had expected weakness. They had found preparation beyond imagination. And Leviathan was still charging. General Tan watched the energy readings climb steadily. This is only defensive mode, a technician said quietly. Tan nodded. If they push again, she replied, we show them the rest. Above Earth, the Dominion understood a terrible truth. Humanity had not waited to be saved. It had built something that made saving unnecessary. And the war had just changed forever. The Dominion should have retreated. Any rational empire would have. But empires built on conquest do not understand retreat. They understand pride. After the destruction near Earth's orbit, Commander Varkesh received a direct transmission from the Dominion Emperor himself. The image of the ruler filled the bridge, tall, armored, eyes glowing with controlled fury. You will not return in defeat, the Emperor said. You will end this species. Varkesh bowed his head slightly. They possess weapons beyond projection models. Then overwhelm them, the Emperor answered. All fleets. All reserves. I want Earth erased. Within hours, signals rippled across Dominion space. Every available warship began moving toward the human system. This was no longer invasion. It was extermination. On Earth, deep inside the Lunar Command Station, new alerts flashed red across every screen. Massive warp signatures detected, a technician said, voice tight. Estimated arrival in 36 hours. General Arya Tan stared at the growing cluster of red markers. It was larger than any fleet the galaxy had assembled in 1,000 years. They're committing everything, someone whispered. Tan gave a slow nod. So will we. Across Earth, emergency sirens finally sounded. Not in panic, but in readiness. Defense shelters filled. Medical centers prepared. Civilian evacuation ships launched toward hidden safe zones beyond Mars. Above the planet, damaged human ships returned to formation. Freshly built vessels rolled out of orbital shipyards at record speed. Old mining stations unfolded into weapon platforms. Humanity had no allies. But it had numbers. And it had home advantage. 36 hours later, the sky changed. Even from Earth's surface, people could see distant flashes in orbit as Dominion fleets exited warp. The darkness of space filled with metal shapes, stretching in every direction. The stars themselves seemed blocked out. In the Dominion flagship, Varkesh no longer underestimated his enemy. He studied Earth carefully. Begin full system assault, he ordered. This time, Dominion strategy shifted. Instead of direct approach, they divided into layered waves. Long-range artillery ships fired from deep range. Drone carriers released swarms of autonomous attack craft. Heavy dreadnoughts formed a tight core around command vessels. Human orbital defenses activated instantly. Leviathan pulsed again, bending gravity at the system's edge. But the Dominion had adapted. They kept distance, firing from beyond distortion zones. Energy beams streaked across space like red lightning. Explosions flashed around Earth's defensive grid. One human station shattered. Then another. On the lunar base, impact reports stacked rapidly. They're breaking through outer layers, a technician warned. Tan remained calm. Activate solar array protocol. Near the surface of the sun, a network of mirrors and collectors shifted position. For years, they had harvested solar energy quietly. Now, they redirected it. A focused surge of amplified solar radiation shot across space, striking the leading Dominion artillery line. Several ships overheated instantly, shields failing under unexpected intensity. Dominion forces adjusted quickly. They redirected fire toward the solar array. The mirrors exploded one by one. Array collapsing, a technician reported. Tan watched without visible reaction. It served its purpose. In orbit, human fleets shifted into close combat range. Smaller ships targeted weak points, drawing enemy fire away from Earth itself. Many did not return. Cameras captured pilots ramming damaged ships into Dominion cruisers when ammunition ran dry. On Earth, citizens watched limited live updates. No dramatic speeches. No false promises. Just one message repeating across global networks. Hold the line. The battle spread across the entire system. Mars' orbit ignited with conflict. Jupiter's moons became shield anchors. Even automated stations near Saturn joined the fight. Despite heavy losses, the Dominion slowly advanced inward. Varkesh could see Earth growing larger on his main display. Victory seemed possible again. Then new human ships arrived. Not from Earth. From beyond Pluto. Hidden deep in the outer darkness, a reserve fleet entered the battlefield. Massive carriers that had never appeared in galactic records. They attacked from behind Dominion lines, trapping part of the armada between two human forces. Where did those ships come from? A Dominion officer demanded. Varkesh understood now. Humans never showed everything. The sky above Earth turned red from constant weapons fire. Debris rained through the upper atmosphere like burning stars. Still, Earth stood. Still, Leviathan pulsed. And as Dominion casualties mounted again, one reality became clear. Even outnumbered. Even abandoned. Humanity refused to fall. The battle for the solar system had lasted 3 days. 3 days without pause. 3 days of fire in orbit, broken ships drifting like metal ghosts, and constant alarms echoing through command centers on Earth. The Dominion armada was still massive. But it was no longer unstoppable. Commander Varkesh stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching casualty numbers rise. Entire squadrons had vanished. Rear formations were collapsing under attacks from the hidden human fleet beyond Pluto. For the first time in his career, he felt uncertainty. Energy reserves, he asked. 42% remaining, an officer answered. multiple capital ships critically damaged. On his screen, Earth still rotated calmly beneath clouds and smoke. Human defenses were scarred but active. Leviathan pulsed at steady intervals, warping space in controlled waves. They should have fallen, one officer muttered. Varkesh replied quietly, they were prepared to be alone. On the Lunar Command Base, General Arya Tan reviewed the final stage. Dominion Command ship identified, a strategist said. Central coordination depends on it. Tan nodded. Then we remove the head. Human fleets shifted formation again. Instead of holding defensive layers, they opened a corridor straight toward the Dominion flagship. It looked like a mistake. A weakness. Varkesh saw it immediately. They are desperate, he said. Advance. Break through to Earth. Dominion heavy cruisers surged forward through the corridor. That was the moment Leviathan changed frequency. Instead of wide gravitational waves, it focused into a narrow channel, directly along the path of the advancing Dominion core. Space compressed violently. Not enough to destroy instantly. Just enough to slow them. Human long-range cannons, powered by every remaining solar reserve and planetary reactor, fired together in one coordinated strike. The beam was visible this time. A bright white line cutting across the dark. It pierced through two Dominion escorts and slammed into the flagship's shield grid. The shield flared, cracked, then shattered like glass. Direct hit on command vessel, a human officer shouted. On the Dominion bridge, systems exploded in sparks. Gravity shifted. Consoles shattered. Varkesh grabbed a railing as the deck tilted. Stabilize, he commanded. But the next strike came before stabilization. Human assault ships that had pretended weakness now accelerated at full thrust. They closed distance rapidly, targeting engines and weapon cores of the crippled flagship. Explosions tore across its surface. Emergency evacuation protocols, an officer asked desperately. Varkesh looked at Earth one last time. He understood now. The galaxy had feared humans for their aggression. They should have feared them for their patience. Signal retreat, he ordered. The words shocked his crew. Full retreat. All surviving forces. Across Dominion channels, withdrawal commands spread. Ships disengaged and attempted emergency warp jumps. Many escaped. Many did not. Within hours, the red sky above Earth began to clear. Fires still burned in orbit, but organized Dominion formations were gone. They were leaving. On Earth, no one cheered loudly. There was relief. Exhaustion. Quiet tears. But leadership remained focused. Pursue? A commander asked General Tan. Tan shook her head slowly. No. They will remember this. That is enough. As Dominion survivors fled beyond sensor range, Galactic observers recorded everything. The same council that had declared exile now received undeniable data. Humanity had faced total abandonment. Then total assault. And they had won. Days later, a transmission from the Galactic Council requested urgent dialogue. Their tone was no longer distant or superior. It was cautious. On the Council's central platform, the same chamber where exile had been declared, a human hologram appeared once more. Not Ambassador Rowan this time. General Arya Tan stood in his place. You request renewed alliance, the speaker said carefully. Tan's expression was calm. When we asked for trust, she replied, you chose fear. Silence filled the chamber. We stood alone, she continued. We defended ourselves. We survived. She paused, letting the weight of it settle. We will trade. We will speak. But we will never again depend on protection that can disappear. The message was clear. Humanity had changed. Not into conquerors. Not into tyrants. but into something the galaxy could no longer ignore. Self-reliant. Prepared. Unbreakable when cornered. Back on Earth, damaged stations were rebuilt. New fleets were designed. Leviathan remained beneath the ocean, silent once more. The galaxy had turned away. The Dominion had attacked. Humanity had stood alone. And humanity had won.